Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going over the light that you see in my hand right here. It's the Olight M1T. This one here is relatively small, as you can see, so it's definitely designed for EDC type of use. You can see it kind of fits in your hand pretty darn well, and then if you actually hit the button, it comes on from the tail cap, which is good for tactical type of use, which I'm sure some of you guys are going to be interested in. So it's also small, lightweight, all of that fun stuff, but has pretty good output. It's got 500 lumens that'll come out of this little light here. So what we're going to do first is step outside, take a look at the beam comparison with this and another sort of EDC type of light, get into the details of the light itself, and at the end we'll let you know what we think of it overall. Where the fence meets the iron there is about 35 feet away for folks that don't watch the channel frequently, and these trees here are about 40 to 50 feet away depending on the tree. This is the output from the M1T there on high. As you guys can see there, these chairs down here, for instance, that my wife likes to sit in because it's in the shade, those down there are about 35, 40 feet away, and it illuminates them pretty darn well. You guys can also see that we do have a defined hotspot, and then even when the hotspot, say, goes off the wood fence there, that spill is still illuminating it somewhat, because if I move the light completely off camera, you'll see there's no light there at all, and it's pretty much dark. So camera comes back into focus, and that's what you're gonna see there. So that is the high mode. Now let me see if I can get it to low. It is on low right now. I don't think my camera really is even picking it up there on the fence because it's barely illuminating it. I will take my hand out there and you guys can kind of see we are on low, but again, that's what the high mode is going to look like. Another light out there that I know a lot of people are looking at these days is the Streamlight Microstream, and this is on high from that light. This is what you guys are seeing. That's a 250 lumen light, so it's a little bit less, but it's also a thinner light. So some folks may really dig that. And then to compare it, here is going to be the Olight over here on the right, and then here, the Streamlight Olight. You guys can see it definitely has a little bit more intensity there in the middle than we have here with the Streamlight Microstream USB. With the beam comparison out of the way, I kind of wanted to give you guys a quick size reference for it. So of course here is the M1T. Over here on the left we have the M2T, sort of like the bigger brother of it here, which I've reviewed here in the past. And we also have the S30R, the baton light. And then of course the M1T, and then over here we have the Streamlight. This is their stylus USB light, 250 lumen output light that we were using earlier. So that sort of is how they stack up size wise. The M1T is definitely narrower than the M2T. You can see it kind of fits right in there. So while they both use CR123A batteries, or can use rather, the Olight M1T definitely keeps it nice and thin there on the body. When the light comes in, you're going to get everything you guys see here. So you're going to get the light, you're going to get a CR123A battery, your clip, and you also get a lanyard that I really never use, but if you guys want one, it does come with it if you guys choose to use it. So basic operation of the light is very simple, which I really do like in this case. We have our tail cap. That's really the only control on there. First push is always going to be high, that 500 lumen output, so you're just going to tap it, and at this point you can either do momentary on like I'm doing right now rather, or you can click it and go constant on. And if you want low light, you're just going to double tap it real quick, and that will give you the low output. Again, you can click that in and keep it on low if you guys want to get a ton of different, a ton of battery life. It will give you 100 hours of battery life with a CR123 battery on low, and on high it's going to give you 2 hours of battery life. However, the important thing to note there is that while it's 500 lumens on high, it actually has a step down mode, and in my testing, when it was about 85-90 degrees outside, you could see it step down in about 2 minutes. So about 2 to 3 minutes, it's going to step down to a 300 lumen output, and that is to protect the circuitry of the light. So that is how the output works, and runtime and all of that fun stuff. You guys can see it also takes the rechargeable 16340s. That's what we're using there. I've used it with both. I've had no noticeable difference in terms of output there. You can also see we do have nice lubricated threads. It's O-ring sealed. The light is IPX8 rated, which is really good considering some of the other lights out there on the market that are generally going to be 4 or something like that. But the reason it's able to do that is that it has those sealed threads and the O-ring in there, and it also has no external charging ports. So if you want to use rechargeables, you have to remove the battery and put it in a charger. Not a huge deal for most folks, but it's just something to point out there. Versus some of the other Olight offerings. The entire body of the light is made out of aircraft grade aluminum. They don't specify which kind, which leads me to think it's 6061, which there's nothing wrong with that. 6061 will give you good corrosion resistant, and you guys can see the knurling on there is very different than your typical Olight knurling, and they call it the double helix knurling. I don't really know that I like it or dislike it, but it does give you added grip when you pick it up versus a slick flashlight, so that certainly is good. The clip I like for sure. I like the clip a lot. Obviously you can carry it either bezel down or bezel up depending on which way you orient that in your pocket. I personally like to carry bezel down, and I also like the fact that the clip kind of comes up high, so that way when it's in your pocket, the only part that's exposed is basically from here up. So it's very low profile in that regard, and again, like we showed you earlier, compared to some of the other lights, it's about as slim as you can make it and still use that CR123A type of battery. We covered most of the details of the light. One that I think I left out was the reflector. It has their TIR reflector, which, as you guys saw from the beam pattern, is kind of a good balanced light. It has a decent amount of throw, a decent amount of spill. Definitely for personal defense type of use. If you actually pulled this out when someone was a few feet away from you and shined it right in their eye, it would definitely give them that brief disorientation, which is what you want, of course, in that type of situation. So in terms of brightness, it definitely has that. And I do like the fact that it comes high on first, right? And it doesn't come on low. You don't have to click through anything to get to the high output mode. So I do like it in that regard. The tail cap is also very easy to actuate, which I do like as well. Another thing that you guys are going to like, and I certainly like as well, is the price point on this guy. The price point is 39 bucks over at Olight's website. So it's definitely going to be a light that a lot of you guys are going to be interested in. Like I said, one thing that's sort of a pro or a con, I guess, depending on how you look at it versus some of the competition, is the fact that it utilizes that CR123A style battery. Like you guys saw, you can also use the rechargeables if you guys want to do that, or just use the CR123A. Me personally, if I was going to use it for defensive use, I would go with the CR123A simply because they don't lose their charge like rechargeable batteries do. But if you're going to do like a lot of training with it, or just use it for EDC type of use that you don't feel any sort of threatening environment in, rather, the rechargeables will run just fine. Just charge them up every couple months, even if you don't use it, just to make sure it maintains that charge. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions about the light, by all means, post down below in the comment section. As always, you can post over at my Facebook page as well. That's the best place to get in touch with me if you guys actually need a question answered. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing, and I hope to see all of you in the next video.